Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. And we're asking the question, Sam, is this it? Is he for real? Is Trevor Lawrence for real? Has he turned the corner? Yeah, we've said this before. We did this almost to the day last year at this time, Sam. Trevor, he had an excellent game on Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. It was his best game to that point. It felt like maybe he'd turned a corner. We did a PFF NFL Daily on it. Everybody listened to it, so we decided we're going to try it again this year and
Yeah.
ask the question: is Trevor Lawrence, has he turned a corner?
Yeah. What was that? Week 4 last year? We'd had 3 pretty ugly games to start Trevor Lawrence's career. Nothing looked good. Everything was pretty bad. And then he had that one really nice game against Cincinnati on Thursday night where it looked like he was in charge, in control. It looked more like Trevor Lawrence, the prospect, versus Trevor Lawrence, the NFL player. And then that guy basically disappeared again and only came back one other time, maybe the rest of the season. And the whole thing was miserable. This year, we started off with another one of those bad games like the rookie season. But the last 2 weeks, we've seen a different Trevor Lawrence. We've seen a guy who did look in control of the offense and poised and able to deliver the ball where it's supposed to be. And, a 90% adjusted completion rate against the Colts, a 78% adjusted completion rate against the Chargers. His big time throw rate is the same. So that element of, hey, seeing those huge plays and the Andrew Luck side of what he can do hasn't necessarily been there, but definitely cut down on the major mistakes, the turnover plays. And it's just been a lot more accurate and poised and, able to run an offense as opposed to sort of looking overwhelmed back there.
Yeah, some of his big time throws last year were late in the game and garbage time, and we're starting to see it, within the flow of the offense right now. You see him rolling out, finding Zay Jones for a touchdown on Sunday against the Chargers. You see him zipping one. I thought my favorite throw, it was tight window. Maybe it gets broken up the majority of the time, but his touchdown to Marvin Jones late in the game against the Chargers just zips it in there into tight coverage where only his receiver can catch it. Those types of things, in addition to what the Jaguars are doing offensively now, they are doing a very nice job of moving them around, creating open throws, distributing the ball within that offense. And if you go back to Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, I know we've compared him to an Andrew Luck-like prospect because of, what he's capable of as far as arm talent and athleticism goes. But Lawrence did a fantastic job of taking care of the ball. He's got the best turnover-worthy play rate of any freshman that we've seen. So Lawrence always took good care of the ball, had potential for those special throws. And again, it's only a couple games, so we always have to preface this. But these last few weeks in particular, I think we're starting to see him really come into his own.
Yeah, and you can see a difference in the offense. Lawrence is looking better, and we speculated heading into the season, how much of a difference is it going to make going from Urban Meyer and the toxic work environment and the fact that everybody hated coming to work and that the offense wasn't helping anybody look good. It was undermining people at every turn, to this season where you've got Doug Peterson coming in with a proven offensive system with a good track record of making quarterbacks look better than maybe they are within the offense and all those kinds of things. In week 1, there was almost no evidence of that whatsoever. Weeks 2 and 3, though, we're seeing a lot more of the offense putting players in a position to succeed and helping them get open with, route concepts and, the play design that's actually helping, in addition to just expecting guys to win one-on-one. And all of that coming together, I think, is leading to Trevor Lawrence having more confidence and being able to be more efficient because he's got better things to aim at. He's not looking at 2 receivers running the same place at the same time and both covered and thinking, what am I supposed to go with the ball? Like, he's actually looking at plays that make sense from his point of view and have a logical progression and a logical outcome of a guy being open at a certain point.
There's another stat I really want to highlight that should be encouraging for both Jaguars fans and for Trevor Lawrence. But first, the NFL action is in full swing here at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're talking touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If that's not enough, everyone can boost their winnings with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Right now, for every leg you add, you can boost your winnings for up to 100%. With payouts bigger than ever, why bet on football anywhere else? To make things even sweeter, you could throw down on stepped-up same-game parlays once per game day all season long. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF to get $200 in free bets if your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game. It's code PFF only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. So, Sam, last year, we were critical of Trevor Lawrence. You know, he never really came out of the funk. He was in a tough situation, but he never came out of the funk. And he never looked great other than maybe a couple games here and there. But the one stat that stood out to me, he doesn't take negative plays. He doesn't take sacks. Only 14.5% of his pressure dropbacks became sacks, one of the best rates in the league last year. This year, it's even better. It's just under 6%. So if we're talking about a guy that's not going to crumble under pressure, he's not going to take those negative plays, and he's taking care of the ball as far as turnover-worthy plays go, that's a huge step in the right direction. Even though he didn't throw the ball well last year, he didn't take sacks, and we see all these other rookies really struggling against the rush right now and taking those negative plays, and I think that's going to bode well for Lawrence as he moves forward here.
Yeah, and look, the other element is we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that the situation around him is still not great. You know, obviously it's dramatically better going from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson and the coaching environment and that kind of element of it. But, you know, look at who he's throwing the ball to. It's still not good. Okay, you bring in Christian Kirk. He's been impressive so far this season. He's got a decent PFF grade. They're obviously throwing him the ball a lot. They're scheming him up and putting him in a good spot in terms of getting open. He's coming out of the slot, 77% of his passing plays, all those kinds of things. But his top three receivers are still Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Marvin Jones. Like, that's not a good group of receivers. It just isn't. I mean, none of those guys are terrible players, but none of them belong as being, you know, the number one option in an offense. Evan Engram is his best tight end. Dan Arnold is the next guy. Again, like these are players that have not got a good track record of being plus players, plus receivers to help a guy out. So he's not throwing to a high-end collection of receivers. He's working behind an offensive line that I think is moving in the right direction, but is still bottom third of offensive lines in the NFL. So protection isn't great. Receivers aren't great. I mean, these are things that will put a fairly firm cap on how good you could expect him to be. So honestly, just seeing him take steps forward, I think, is important. And then maybe next year they can get him even more help around him, and you get to see where you can really take that.
Yeah, part of, I think, the offensive line looking better, Trevor Lawrence getting rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds. That's one of the fastest times. That goes hand in hand with him not taking those sacks. So, again, I got to give credit to the scheme. I don't hate the playmakers, though. I mean, I know they're not the best or anything like that, but it's at least an upgrade over what they had last year on the perimeter. So I got to hand it to the scheme, to Doug Peterson, to the few upgrades around the offense. And then, again, Trevor Lawrence just working quicker and more efficiently. If there was a few knocks on his rookie season, forcing balls into coverage, but he was a tick late. He looked like a rookie for much of last season. Even if he wasn't taking the sacks, he was throwing into coverage, seeing the field later than he should have. This year, it looks like it's much better. So now my next question for Trevor Lawrence, we mentioned the big time throws. Much like a Justin Herbert, who I think did it on Sunday, he shows, right? He shows what he's capable of arm-wise, but Trevor Lawrence, can he do it more often? Can he start flipping the field with some of those big-time throws a little bit at a bit of a higher rate than he has so far? Because he's capable, so take a few more chances that are calculated, and I think that's really the next step now for Trevor Lawrence in his development.
Yeah, but as I said, it really wouldn't shock me if there is a limit to how good he can look, you know, this year because of what's around him. I don't think he's in the worst situation in the world in terms of supporting cast and receivers and offensive line, but I think he's bottom third in the NFL in both categories, at which point I don't think it's really that possible to end up with a, you know, phenomenal PFF grade and for him to put up eye-watering numbers and, you know, end the season as one of the top 5 guys in terms of passer rating or touchdown to interception ratio or whatever the stat is you want to judge this by. So I think you're looking for, you know, can we put the last 2 weeks into some kind of consistent run? And instead of 2 weeks and we go back down in baseline, can we see a run of like 10 games where this is what he looks like? And then maybe, you know, before we see a blip, I'm not expecting the curve to just keep on going up because I just don't think he has the support around him to enable that to happen.
All right, so what's the final verdict? Last year, I think we thought he turned a corner. We were wrong. It was week 4. We overreacted. I think he has turned the corner. What say you, Sam?
I think he might have as well. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him as bad as he was last year again. At least not more than a single game here or there. So yes, Trevor Lawrence's baseline is different now. He has therefore turned a corner.
Turn the corner. MVP candidate. Throw it all out there. Trevor
No.
Lawrence going to the Hall of Fame. No, he's much better this year. Let us know. What do you think of Trevor Lawrence and his development?